بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين إلى يوم الدين أما بعد وإنه في أم الكتاب لدينا لعلي حكيم. The Qur'an indeed is exalted, it is lofty. So this ayah emphasizes the high status, the high rank of the Qur'an, so that the people on earth will respect it, they will venerate it, they will obey. Ali, noble, exalted. So this Quran possesses sublime qualities, majestic qualities to the highest degree. So when making tilawat of Quran, make an intention how this Quran is elevated. Ya Rabb, elevate me in dunya and akhirah. This Quran is so noble, Ya Allah, make me noble. This Quran is so illustrious, make me from your illustrious servants. So those who sit in front of the Quran will be in front in dunya and in akhirah. Sahabi Hazrat Jundub Abdullah Al-Bajali used to say, "Usikum bil Quran, فَإِنَّهُ نُورٌ بِاللَّيْلِ الْمُظْلِمِ." I advise you, I encourage you to hold steadfast unto the Quran, because it is a light in the dark night. وَهُدًى بِالنَّهَارِ, and it is light when the day is bright. It is a guidance in the daytime. فَعَمَلُوا بِهِ, so be averse to practice on this Quran. Hazrat Hasan Basri used to say, أَيُّهَا النَّاسِ إِنَّ هَذَا الْقُرْآنَ شِفَاءُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Know well that this Quran is a cure for the believers. وَإِمَامُ الْمُتَّقِينَ, and it is an imam, a leader for the muttaqeen. فَمَنِ اهْتَدَى بِهِ هُدِيًا, whoever is guided by this Quran, whoever is seeking guidance, they will be rightly guided. They are the fortunate. وَمَنْ صُرِفَ عَنْهُ شُقِيَ وَابْتُلِيَ, and whoever is deprived of this Quran will be amongst the wretched and should get ready for calamities. So the fact that we can make tilawat of Quran, there is no laws, regulations, governments haven't banned the Quran. The fact that we can open the Quran, we got the nuskha of the Quran in the past. There weren't so many scripts of the Quran because it was handwritten, it was a rare commodity. The fact that such a small amount needs to be paid to secure such a big treasure is a ni'mah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we should be grateful for this Quran, and the gratitude is making tilawat of Quran, making hifz of the Quran, learning the ma'ani of the Quran, learning the masail of the Quran, propagating this Quran and making sure this deen reaches the four corners of this earth. So Quran is elevated and the reciter will also be elevated. In the riwayat of Umar bin Khattab radiyallahu anh, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَرْفَعُ بِهَذَا الْكِتَابِ أَقْوَامًا. Allah exalts many people by means of this Quran. وَيَضَعُ بِهِ آخَرِينَ, and also Allah degrades and disgraces many by this Qur'an. So Hazrat Umar had appointed Nafi' as the governor of Makkah, and he asked him as to whom he had appointed as the administrator of the forests. Man istakhlafta Ibn Abzi, Nafi' replied. So he said, who is Ibn Abzi? He said, he's one of our slaves. Why have you appointed a slave as an Ameer? Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu objected. So Nafi' replied, Innahu qari ul-kitabi. He is a qari of the book of Allah, and he is knowledgeable bi fara'idillah. He is knowledgeable with regards to the laws of Shariat. So the fact that this answer was given, Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu then mentioned this hadith, Inna Allaha yarfa'u bihadha al-kitabi aqwaman. Through this book, people, their status are elevated. So one special book on earth, which through it Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elevates people, and those books that are connected to the kalam of Allah, people also become elevated through those kutub as well. So if we look at Tariq and history, Qadi Shihabuddin Jaunpuri was a senior ustad and teacher of Darul Ulum Jaunpur. This was in the reign, the era of Sultan Ebrahim Sharqi, and because of his status, the king honored him, and it so happened that Taqdir had fallen ill. The king came to visit him. And the king coming to visit Qadi Shihabuddin. Imagine, like the president of the country coming to visit somebody. What was it? Because of this nisbat of ilm. So the king sat at the head of Hazrat and made the dua, oh Allah, the scholars like this are not born every day. Let his sickness, let me be inflicted with this sickness rather than him. So it so happened that Qadi recovered from his illness, and the king passed away that very same year. This is around 840 Hijri. So Qadi was heartbroken at the demise of the king, and it so happened that he passed away that year as well. So there was a munasabat, a connection from the hierarchy, from people on top to the Ahlullah, to the Ulama, to Ahlul Qur'an. And we see that the Qur'an had reached a peak in India, where during the reign of King Mahmud Hilmi, in his palace there were 1,000 female servants and attendants, and they all were huffaz. This is the condition of the laborers. What was the condition of the king and queen? So never, like we say, in the kitab of Allah is exalted, so people connect to it, is exalted, so we should honor them. Never look down upon a hafiz, a qari, a alim of deen. Never ever disrespect them. Never utter words of disrespect, because it may be a means of a person being deprived of the barakah of the Quran, but rather they will fall curse. So we have to be very cautious and make sure we revere these people of Quran, of ilm. And according to a person's internal islah, their spirituality, will they see the importance of deen, they will have the vision of Quran, they will have the vision of Sunnah, they will interpret Quran in Hadith how it should be interpreted. When there is this internal darkness, then a person tends to interpret Quran according to their own desires and their own ambitions, what they think, so what they deem it fit. That's why Quran has no room for interpretation. There's no space whatsoever for a person to give their opinion. Everything has been documented and everything is clear and we should abide by what the scholars, ulama-i haq, ulama-i rabbaniyin, those scholars that are connected to Allah and His Rasul, and the signs displaying that they are from ulama-i haq. So when the internal is corrupted, then a person will interpret things differently. Like a youngster, he was naive and he was young, and it was his nikah day, so he found out that his bride is wearing white. So he asked his mother, why are wedding dresses always white? Did you wear white dress as well? She said, yes, because it is a sign of purity, it's a sign of chastity. Whiteness is light and the bride is pure and she's chaste. He was very happy with the answer. He said, let me run it by my father. So he said, Abba, can you tell me why a wedding dress is always white? So his father replied, because kitchen appliances also always come in white, because kitchen appliances always come in white. So we're two worlds apart, different interpretations. So we have to make sure that we abide by what the scholars are saying. The solution, Quran is in front of us. Have we opted for the solution? We read in every other book, we read in every other text besides Quran. So this is the sad part about it. We've got a solution in front of us, and no matter how many problems we face in this world, we don't resort to Quran. Then if you can't solve the small problems of this world through Quran, how will you solve the big problems, which are the problems of Akhirat? So we're choosing the long cut. There's a story of a king who went on a trip in his country, and he went to the furthest part, the distant area, and when he came back to his palace, then his feet were painful, and because the road was so rough and stony, he felt the journey and he felt the pains and the pangs of the journey. So then he called his courtiers, ministers, and instructed them that the next time I go on any trip, then that entire road should be covered with leather. So the advisors were baffled at how much hide will we require to cover that area, and that will even serve the purpose, considering the area that the king will travel to. So one wise saint was there, and he said that, can I give a suggestion? Why do you have to spend so much unnecessary money when you can cut a piece of leather and cover your feet? Have better shoes. So sometimes a solution is in front of us, but we don't opt for the solution. We look in all other avenues. So Quran, we've underestimated the power of Quran. خيركم من تعلم القرآن وعلمه, riwayat al-Bukhari. The best amongst you is he who learns the Quran and teaches it. So خيركم, the best amongst you. Some riwayat is or. So best amongst you is he who learns the Quran or teaches it. So so much virtue that a person is given the title the best amongst you. This degree of excellence, this status, which is very unique. So we should be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and check, am I learning the Quran and am I teaching the Quran? If a person does both, Mubarak, they got the best of both the worlds. Like the riwayat of Mullah Liqari has mentioned, whoever acquires the knowledge of the Quran stores the knowledge of Nubuwa, prophethood, in his forehead. So high status for a person who does a simple amal. And not only taluk with the Quran, with people of the Quran as well, a person will become elevated. So just having connection with the people of Quran, with the people of ilm, and that's why taking ba'at to the ulama and treading the path of suluk, spending time in the company of the Ahlullah, that is so important. There was a madrasa of Quran in a certain village, and in those days the common practice was that the food for the students was prepared by the affluent people of the village. So normally the students would go and fetch the food from that household. So there was a simpleton villager who took the responsibility of going home to fetch the food and deliver it to the madrasa. So kids are kids, and they make pranks or mock. So jokingly they gave this person the name of Ox. So one day when he came, and one of the students said, "Did Ox bring the food?" So he was disappointed that I'm serving and making khidmat, and this is a great insult. How can they give me a nickname like Ox? So he stopped fetching their food. The very next day he said, "I'm not going to fetch food for the students." So that night the students went to bed hungry. And when the villager went to sleep, then he dreamt that it was Qiyamah, Judgment Day. Everybody was running helter-skelter in fear. And when he noticed the situation and the gravity of Qiyamah, then he was looking for some solace. And he came to the Pul Sirat. And he seen the students of the madrasa were there too. But they all crossed the Pul Sirat swiftly. And he was restless and wondering that how will I cross, because he seen people falling into the hellfire. So one of the students, as they were crossing, looked back, and the student called out to the other student, "Stop, our ox has been left behind. Let us go fetch him and take him along." So and he crossed the Pul Sirat, and then he woke up. So he ran to the madrasa hastily when he woke up, and he asked the students, "Please make me maaf for not bringing your food last night. You can call me Ox or whatever you like. I will serve you as long as I live. I will serve you as long as I live." So this is the barakat of Quran. The amal for today is to read salah. If Allah gives somebody tawfiq, Hajj and Umrah, to make a niyyah never to miss a salat in the Haramain Sharifain as far as possible. Salatun fi masjidi afdalu min alfi salatin fi ma siwahu. A single salat in Masjid Nabi is more better than salat anywhere else 1,000 times illa al-Masjid al-Haram, except Masjid Makkah al-Mukarrama. Wa salatun fil Masjid al-Harami afdalu min mi'ati alfi salatin. And a single salat in Makkah al-Mukarrama, in the Haram, is 100,000 times more better than salah anywhere else. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the reality of the power of the Quran, the value of the Quran, the virtue of the Quran, to make qadr of the Quran, and to fulfill the haqq of the Quran. Wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alameen.